Hey guys, so my name is Brittany. I wanted to introduce myself. I have the blog, new blog for me, though I've had some of my accounts around for a little while, called the Ketocyster. And I really wanted to make this blog because I was diagnosed at age 16 with Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome, and it was really not a fun journey for me. Um, as you can see, I'm not really wearing makeup. I might have a little bit of eyeliner that's left on here. But you can see my acne. I've got, even though I've washed my hair, the whole grease thing going on. Typical signs of, someone with polycystic ovarian syndrome. So I wanted this to be, very real. I really, just wanted to be able to share my um, journey, I guess, for lack of a better word right now. And I don't have any kind of crazy, cool studio behind me or anything like that. Um, in fact, I'm having back issues, so but anyway, that's beside the point. So just a little bit about me and my PCOS journey. Like I said, I was diagnosed at age 16. I actually was working at a grocery store at the time, and in one of the magazines that I was looking through on a break, I actually had found an article in there that was discussing polycystic ovarian syndrome and a lot of the different symptoms of it, including weight gain, excess hair, acne, irregular periods, all of this kind of thing. And so, going down the list, migraines, I just had so many of the symptoms. And so I ended up making some copies of that article and taking it to my doctor's office with me. Well, he, kind of hemmed and hawed, beat around the bush a little bit. And he's like, well, it could be that, or it could just be that you're overweight and you need to lose some weight. At 16, with hormones racing and everything that was going on with being a typical teenager, that was devastating for me. In fact, I'm not sure that after that appointment, I actually went back to that doctor again, because I didn't feel like he handled the situation very well, nor did he seem like he really, had a whole lot of insight. Now, keep in mind, that was probably 20 years ago now. So I know that, at that time, polycystic ovarian syndrome wasn't something that was all that widely known. And so for myself, basically, he ended up giving me a prescription for some birth control pills, saying, here, this will help regulate your period and you'll be good to go. You'll just have to deal with everything else. At age 16, my parents didn't really like the idea of me being on the pill. I didn't, outside of regulating, I didn't really have any need for it. And so I took it for a while and then decided I was done. I had a lot of side effects from it. It actually made my mood swings even worse. I, would start crying at the drop of a dime, and I tried, everything from the patch to, the different pills, all of that kind of thing. So finally, when I was probably, I don't know, maybe it was like a year later or so, I ended up stopping the pill. In my 20s, probably it was about 20 actually. I ended up making an appointment. I had switched doctors, and she had referred me to an endocrinologist at the university. So I went down there, and they actually finally made the diagnosis. They ran a whole bunch of different, tests. I had an ultrasound done on my ovaries, which, that showed that one was enlarged and was cystic. And just, based on all of the different symptoms, I finally, the other doctor had kind of made the diagnosis. But then it was also, oh, well, maybe if you lost weight, this wouldn't be an issue, blah, blah, blah. So pretty much, I still go by, I was diagnosed at 16, even though the doctor wasn't really all that serious about it, I guess. So the endocrinologist ended up putting me back on birth control pill. I ended up going back on Yaz, even though I hated the side effects. Metformin, spironolactone, which they're like, hey, this should help out with the extra hair and acne and blah, blah, blah. And then, told me, well, you really just need to lose weight. So, at that time I did Weight Watchers and I was successful with it. It's certainly a good program, but it wasn't something that was sustainable for me. Going to the meetings and, having to go through and count all of this stuff and track my activity and all this kind of thing back before, Fitbits and all of that were really a thing. It just was something that I, honestly, I just wasn't, didn't fit in my lifestyle. I was working a full-time job, going to school full-time, plus I had a part-time job. So it was too much for me to try to handle everything all at once. So within the first 3 months, I had lost probably about 54 pounds, I believe it was. So I did really well on it, but that was also on top of staying up an extra hour every night for 5 days to, do Tai Bo and to do Pilates and all of this, extra workout stuff. So basically, it really wasn't the diet. It was more just calorie deficiency, that I ended up losing the weight for. And, as soon as I ended up quitting that, I really went back to, gaining all of the weight back. So, it didn't fit my lifestyle at the time. So I've kind of gone back and forth really, with actually taking care of myself and dealing with the symptoms. Over the years, lifestyle, getting too busy. And I know, there's the whole saying that you have to make time for yourself and make time for these kinds of things. But, it wasn't on my priority list at the time, though, looking back, I definitely wish that I would have done things differently. So fast forward, I am in my 30s, mid 30s. I'll actually be 37 next month. So, I'm kind of in the place where I want to have kids. I, am even more concerned about long-term health. So things have really changed in my life. And so about 6 months ago, one of my cousins was telling me all of the great things, that she had experienced on the keto diet. And I, had heard so many women and just people in general around me that did it, tried it, and were successful, lost a lot of weight. So I decided that, I would start doing my own research with it. So, I spent a couple months just, really doing the research. I had heard so many bad things about it. It's not healthy, it's not sustainable. It's bad for cholesterol, all of this sort of thing. And then I had heard, and I wish I could remember where it was now, but I had heard somebody talking, and actually now I know it was the Lakanto, one of the commercials for Lakanto monk fruit sweetener. that was talking about the woman having had polycystic ovarian syndrome, and that she had basically reversed all of her symptoms from it with doing the ketogenic diet. So that was kind of the final push over the edge for me. I figured if she can do it, maybe there is something to the science of it. So and sorry, I have terrible allergies that are making me crazy right now. So if I make crazy faces, I'm sorry. But so I started looking into the science of the ketogenic diet, and found a specific study that, was the effects basically of the ketogenic lifestyle or diet on women with polycystic ovarian syndrome. And so, just reading through there were a lot of benefits, such as lower, insulin levels, actually, better cholesterol, if I remember right, lower levels of testosterone. And I, started thinking, hey, really there might be something to this. So when I started on my journey with keto, it was tough. I won't say that it's not a tough thing to start, but I've been I've been through a lot worse. It's definitely one thing, and it's really hard to break the um the addiction of carbs and sweets. In the United States or in Western culture, there's so much, food is a very celebratory thing. And so, it's part of our culture basically to cake and ice cream for birthdays and this and that. And, you have pumpkin pie for Thanksgiving and all of these, different candies for Christmas. And, so that's been so ingrained in us. So that was definitely something that was hard to break at first. But now that I've been doing it for going on 5 months, definitely it's, one of the better things that I have ever done for myself. As far as sustainability, really it's a matter of um, being able to say no, Um, I can eat veggies and meats and cheese, and I don't have to go through necessarily, at this point and count, out this many calories or this much that. Because, by this point, I have a pretty good idea of, the carbs that are, included in different foods. So I can just kind of, it's basically become my life. And so right now, just because I have seen so many benefits is really why I started the Ketocyster. Because there is so much, yes and no, so much negative and positive about the diet. I figured that I would share my own journey and my own experiences being a woman that has lived with polycystic ovarian syndrome. And I really, again, I wanted to make it very real, very personal. And so that's, really kind of my goal with this. For future episodes, I hope to be able to, go through and discuss some of the different symptoms, some of the different things that I do or have done, to help against and, help to control some of the different symptoms of PCOS. We'll share some recipes and really just answer any kind of questions that anyone might have. Having grown, basically been dealing with this now for over 20 years, um, it's my goal to be able to share my story with other women, especially young girls that are being, you know, um, that are being diagnosed so young. Because I didn't, there wasn't a lot of research. We didn't have the the internet and all of the options there to be able to look things up online. So, you know, I really didn't know a whole lot about what was going on with my body. So with all of the research I've done, I want to be able to share that here with you. As well as be a support, you know, as a system of support for others. So yeah, that's really, you know, really it about me. I will probably share other tidbits about my life, you know, as we go through. Right now, I have time to kind of get this started because I am dealing with some other health issues as well. I am an amputee. On the right side, I was born also with amniotic band syndrome, which you can see also affected my fingers, which these were webbed, and you can kind of still see the scars there. Um, so I have a lot going on with that. Having lost weight, my prosthesis doesn't fit, and so I'm also having issues with my back. So, you know, I've turned a blessing in, you know, something that started out as a curse into a blessing, you know, and that that I'm able to take this time to be able to get something started that really hits home for me. And I hope that you enjoy my videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon.